the next thing I see, I look over to where Jeremy's sitting, and his stool's empty. And then all I see is this fist like fly by my face, and he punches this guy right in the face, like right in the face.
Welcome back to New World Old Soul, everyone. Thank you so much for being here once again. We greatly appreciate it as always. Before jumping into today's episode, we want to invite you to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you know when we release new content. If you happen to enjoy what it is that we are doing here, let me welcome, not allow, you're allowed. Let me welcome my wife, Melissa, Mama. How you feeling?
Wow.
You just told me you're coming off of a sugar crash because you just downed some Reese's peanut butter cups before we hopped on here. How you feeling?
I'm feeling like I shouldn't have eaten 6 Reese's. These are not full-size Reese's. Everybody relax. It's those little Halloween ones. I found them.
So 6 of them?
Yeah. I have no excuse.
Were these Valentine's Day treats that you're putting down?
No, they were from Halloween. I just literally found them.
Freshies.
I had hidden them. They were pretty hard. I hid them in one of my Ray Dunn canisters, the one that says sugar. Sometimes I put treats in there and the kids can't see into that jar.
You have to explain how this works. So if you walk through our household, you will notice that there are a number of candies that Melissa has taken upon herself to hide and stash away from everybody else. Even though I'm not currently eating candy, she still feels the need, for whatever reason, to stash a bunch of treats around the house for herself like a little leprechaun.
My mom used to snack, she would put stuff in her sock drawer and everything. We knew it was there. She always had cinnamon bears and red vines.
Gross.
I'm not eating any red dye. Again, relax. No red dye, 40 for me. Did you see that RFK card for Valentine's Day?
I think you showed it to me. I forget what it said though.
It said, "Are you red dye 40? Because I'd like to take you out." So bad.
So dumb.
It's so bad.
Speaking of Valentine's Day, we are coming off Valentine's Day. Happy belated Valentine's Day to all of you out there. I hope you had a romantic day and
We did.
evening with your lover.
Mr. Lava.
No, our Valentine's days around here are pretty dumb because I don't really acknowledge or celebrate it because I'm just a grumpy guy.
Yeah, he's just a grumpy bear. So this was our 20th Valentine's. Isn't that romantic?
So romantic.
So romantic. So it was our 20th Valentine's together. And for me as a kid, Valentine's Day was always like a kid event. You'd make the box and you decorate it and you go to the party and you get to go to the store and pick out your Valentine's card. Now it's like Halloween. If you send your kids to school, all the cards have candy attached to them.
You want to tell everybody out there what it is that we did for each other as a married couple of 20 years?
Jeremy burnt the dinner.
We did absolutely nothing for each other. Valentine's Day in our household is more so
You did something.
It's a family event. It's a family holiday, much like Christmas and Thanksgiving, Easter, what have you. We still have our Christmas tree up, as you see here over
It's
in
a
the
winter
house.
tree.
Especially if you follow us over on Good Symbol of, you know that we take all the Christmas decor down and we instead put Valentine's Day decorations on our Christmas tree because it becomes a Valentine's Day tree. The kids love it. The kids absolutely adore Valentine's Day. But again, for me, it's just basically a made up holiday. Sorry, everyone.
So yeah, Jeremy's not really into it. My parents didn't celebrate. They weren't like romantic with Valentine's Day or anything. So I didn't really have any romantic expectations around it. But as a kid, my mom made a big deal out of it for my siblings and I. So she would literally make us puffy paint. Puffy paint was cool in the 80s. And she would make us like a special sweatshirt that we would wear to school.
Nerds.
It had our name on it. She would puffy paint hearts all over it.
Nerds.
One time she did our Keds tennis shoes. They were little white Keds, and then she puffy painted little hearts and but it was so fun because when we had our Valentine's outfit and our mom made it for us, and then we would get the Hallmark Valentine bear. Every Valentine's Day, Hallmark would release a new bear. And so we would get up in the morning. She would have made us a heart cake. We got to eat cake for breakfast. Didn't always make you feel the best, but it was a special day. And then we would get the Hallmark bear, and then we would get this little gift bag with like little treats in it. And that's, my mom just made a big deal out of Valentine's Day. So for me, it's something for kids.
Yeah. It's a made up holiday.
Yeah. So
completely.
I do the same thing for the kids. I don't let them have cake in the morning because I'm a party pooper and I don't let our kids eat that much sugar. But we always make a special dinner, which Jeremy burned. And then
We'll talk about that here in a second.
we always make a special dinner, and then I always have like a gift bag for each of the kids that's like something special for them, and we do a movie night, and it's always been a family event sometimes.
Yeah, it was still a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I love taking a day to like acknowledge the love and care that we have for each other as a family and as a married couple. I just feel like the whole thing is just centered around spending money and consumerism and everything. But again, I'm a grumpy guy.
Yeah,
I blame my father. I blame my dad. Does it bum you out that I don't go like above and beyond and like shower you with gifts and rose petals and the whole nine?
Do you remember the year that you brought home flowers when you were a cop?
Look at that. See, I haven't always been a grumpy guy.
Another woman gave them to him.
Yeah.
And then he was like, thanks, I'm going to give these to my wife, which is 100% the proper.
Here's what happened.
Okay.
I went to a 911 call response at a place that had a bunch of flowers they were selling for Valentine's Day. It was the end of the day. I was working swing shift. She's like, hey, we're getting rid of these. Nobody purchased them. Would you like them? I was like, absolutely. Did you just say free? Because that's my favorite word.
So
romantic.
Valentine's Day is cool if it's free, but if you have to spend any greenbacks on it.
No, what I was going to say was like, I blame my dad, sorry dad, because I was raised by a single father. And when you're raised by a single father, things like Valentine's Day just aren't really acknowledged and celebrated.
I feel like your dad would be more romantic with Valentine's Day than you.
Not with his kid.
Well, not with his kid, but like with like wives or girlfriends or.
I'm sure that was a thing. But when it came to me, yeah, the only thing I had to really look forward to on Valentine's Day that I recall were those like horrible chalky hearts with the messages on them that I would get at school from all the ladies.
Yeah, I'm sure all the ladies brought you their chalky hearts.
Those horrible chalky hearts.
Anyway, yeah, it's for kids and it's cool, but I'm not super sensitive about it. And I'm kind of with you. It's very Hallmark. I don't need a special day. You make me feel special every day.
That's right. It's kind of husband I am.
Yeah.
So we tried to celebrate as a family by having this family dinner where a great idea that Melissa came up with. We're going to make our own homemade pizza. She went ahead and bought dough. Everybody put their pizza together. And I said that I was going to...
Jeremy had the great idea too.
I was going to stick them on our grill, our pellet grill. And we were going to have some good...
barbecued pizza.
Wood-fired pizza.
It's not wood fire though. Jeremy watches this pizza show, Just One Bite or whatever it is.
No, the Dave Portnoy reviews. That's not the reason I wanted to do it. Though.
Anyway, he's been watching this pizza YouTube channel where the guy goes around, he travels around, and everyone knows the rule, just one bite, and then he eats the whole piece. So the whole show doesn't even make sense.
Horrible.
And then he just likes this floppy, slimy pizza. It's like,
no.
Yeah, no. I like if you're going to go to a restaurant and you're going to order pizza, I want it to be like, I want it to weigh 5 pounds. I want it to have fresh tomato slices on it. I want a fork and knife pizza.
So this ended up becoming a total disaster because the kids love this activity. We do it periodically. In fact, it was the first meal that we had in our house after we had completed the construction of it. We moved in. It was the very first meal that we took in together as a family. So the kids take a tremendous amount of care and put a ton of effort into making these really cute, adorable pizzas. I bring them out to the grill. They are sticking to every single surface that they are on, every pan, every wood chopping block that we stuck the dough on.
Because you're not supposed to take warm, floppy pizzas and stick them on a grill.
So we couldn't even get them removed from the surfaces that they made them on. So they were a total disaster. Melissa and I are like trying to handle these really floppy doughs, stick them on the grill. Great. It was a total disaster from the start. I leave them on there. They get charred beyond belief. Beyond belief. I mean, they were absolutely burnt to a crisp.
Yesterday, when I was like, you burned the pizzas, you were like, they're fine.
So I pull them
the color
from the
black.
Grill. They were very charred. I said the one good pizza, Kamani's pizza, actually turned out decently. I set it aside. I call Melissa saying, hey, come help me with this last pizza because it was the biggest one. And again, it was a total mess. We couldn't even remove it from the grate. I set Kamani's pepperoni pizza down. Ludo comes over, our dog, our golden retriever, which if you've never owned a golden retriever, they're a total pain in the butt in certain situations.
Food.
This being one of them.
Food driven.
Anything food related. He comes wandering over in the process of Melissa and I trying to maneuver this last pizza. We were trying to get the last one on the grill. He destroys the one decent pizza that came out of the grill.
In like a split second,
In a split second. Snuck behind me, got to it, knocked it over, flipped it top down on our nasty floor here in the shop. So
where we processed deer.
Yeah, that was our Valentine's Day dinner. However, I will say that Melissa recorded a good portion of this, and me being the stubborn individual that I am, insisting that these pizzas were perfectly fine because I didn't want to own up to the fact that I pretty much demolished them. I ate the pizza. She refused to. Eli refused to. Kira refused to. Kaimani and I shared the one decent pizza that we had
You guys were like, it's fine. You had all this
remaining.
black in your teeth. I was like,
It wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
It
Wow,
was
I can't believe you actually admitted that, because last night you were like, it's fine, and you're being crazy.
Hey, we're growing here.
You
okay?
made
We're growing
me
as
feel
people.
like I was nuts.
No, because you were I feel like you were a little over the top
For
about
sure.
it. It was still edible. What I wanted to point out was that you recorded this for Good Simple Living, and you guys are going to see that everybody had smiling
really
faces.
beautiful.
And hey, we're not going to show the tremendous char on the underside of this pizza right now, so look for that in an upcoming video. But it serves as such a great illustration of how these highly polished, edited videos don't necessarily depict the reality of what it is that's going on in the situation.
We were happy when we were making the pizzas. All that's
Yeah.
right. It's just the last 2 shots of you and Kaimani eating the pizza,
Just know that
while
those
the
pizzas,
rest of us were glaring at them. I just didn't show us.
just know that those pizzas were horrible, and Kaimani and I were putting them down primarily out of spite. Like, nope, I'm eating it. I'm not going to fess up to it.
Burnt, nasty pizza to prove a point. Why didn't you just say, yeah, these are bad?
Pretty much, yeah, that's about right.
So the sucky thing about living so far out is you can't just be like, forget it, this didn't work out, let's call Domino's or let's go pick up something. There is no picking up nothing.
No secondary option.
No, it's a 60-mile round trip to the nearest grocery store. There's no fast food in this town. There's no pizza places. Like, there is no call in a pizza.
So what did you eat? I wasn't even paying attention. What did you actually end up eating?
Nothing.
Nothing. You didn't have dinner last night?
No, I was mad.
Melissa, you were with child. How dare you?
I had tea and I pouted. This is the mood I'm in. And normally I'm not like that, but like, okay, the time where I get like really unreasonable and I know I'm being unreasonable is around food currently.
I know where you get that from too.
Yeah. So my mom's like that too. Like, if dinner gets ruined or something, or like a holiday meal,
It is a spectacle for you. You're like, nope,
it's
not
ruined.
doing it.
The day's ruined. Light it on fire. Blow it up. Christmas is canceled.
I don't think you should light it on fire. It was plenty on fire before we pulled it out of the grill.
You already lit it on fire. Yeah, you already cremated the dinner. So yeah, I was in a bad mood. I was hungry, and then I protested by not eating.
Sorry, Mom.
I showed you.
So that was our Valentine's Day in a nutshell. Still a good day. Like I said, I like commemorating and acknowledging the fact that we do have this bond as a family, as family members. It's great. Brought up an interesting discussion that we saw earlier this week online, where there was a viral post put on X where somebody had snapped just a photo at like their local grocery store in the greeting card aisle of a category of greeting cards. It was Valentine's Day cards that were made specifically for your work husband and or work wife. What does that mean? I'll let Melissa explain.
Yeah, well, it's like a thing to have a work wife or a work husband. It kind of has become a thing where you can have this close friend or relationship at work, and it's not supposed to be like a physical relationship. It's more like just someone that you flirt with and joke around with, and your wife or husband can know about it. And sometimes like a wife will be like, oh yeah, this is for you, like bring this for you and your work wife, or you and your work wife go out to lunch and stuff, but your wife's not supposed to be threatened because they're just a friend. They're your work wife.
Right. Your platonic spouse at work.
Yeah. So now we're giving Valentine cards to our work wife.
To the credit of the poster, there was a caption to go along with it. Like, they were absolutely disgusted by it, as am I, because it sets a horrible precedent of what is or is not acceptable, right? I mean, this is, you're playing with fire. How many affairs begin with
work
relationships with a co-worker?
A lot.
Why would you go there?
Because people play with fire, because people are bored in their everyday lives. And then affairs generally start as innocent flirtation, and then you develop friendships or intimate type relationships with people because you allow that to happen.
Where do you draw those lines? And you pointed out that sometimes your actual spouse may even be aware of this. How many of these spouses out there are completely unaware of it? And do you consider this cheating? These types of interactions, no matter how innocent they may appear to be, even if it's just verbal in nature?
Yeah. I mean, I think cheating can be physical or cheating can be emotional.
Well, here's where I'd go with it. Like, how do you define intimacy? Because I think intimacy is it's not necessarily a physical relationship to where you physically express your love and or even just your internal desires. It's not. I think true intimacy lies in a special bond, a special type of relationship. And I mean, to a certain extent, I wouldn't say it's full-fledged cheating by any means, but you are demeaning the relationship you have with your actual spouse when you start partaking in actions like paying someone a pretty heavy-handed compliment, or just, flirtatious looks, glances, what have you. It's
Glances.
yeah,
Are
you know
you?
what I'm saying. Hey, body language speaks volumes, and
No,
you
for
know
sure.
exactly the type of look I'm talking about.
Hmm.
A glance can send a message,
Hmm.
and when you start playing with fire, especially if that's received well by the person that you are expressing or giving these types of looks and glances to, that can lead down a path that can be incredibly destructive.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I would consider cheating or having an affair physical, but having an emotional connection with someone of the opposite sex where you're, especially if you're venting about your wife or husband,
Yeah.
like having somebody that you vent to is, while it may not be an affair or cheating technically, it's still a very big betrayal.
Yes. We've spoken about that before too, where we've had conversations with people that we'd consider to be friends. And it's like when you get together, all they want to do is vent about their spouse. That's something that I've never done. That's something that I'm pretty confident that you've never done, because that's the type of bond and relationship that we've always tried to have and maintain. Um, I don't know. Again, I think for me, it just comes back to how it is that you define and look at intimacy, because true intimacy, I think, goes beyond the physical.
Hmm.
It's an emotional connection, and it's the determining of what a very structured relationship is. There are things that I disclose and divulge to you that I would never say to anyone else on this earth. To me, that is intimacy. It's when you have a partner who knows you better than you know yourself. And when you start opening that up to other people, it really dilutes and diminishes that special bond and connection that you have with your spouse. So
Yeah.
while I'm with you, I wouldn't call it, like I said, full-fledged cheating. It is a total violation of the relationship that you have with your husband or wife. And it's not something to be tampered with or taken lightly.
Yeah, I'm kind of the belief structure that you shouldn't have friends of the opposite sex.
I'm with you. I think a lot of people would probably disagree with us on that.
I'm sure. Or like, oh, I've had this friend for so long. I had a really good male friend growing up as well. But once we got married, that friendship fell apart.
I can't even imagine a scenario where I was like, hey, Melissa, I'll see you in a few hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to go meet up with this platonic female friend that I have out there. Would never happen.
Monica doesn't exist.
I would never do that. I have zero desire to do that. And I would never violate the trust of and the sanctity of our marriage in that way. It just would never be something that would ever cross my mind.
But I think this is kind of a modern belief of relax, calm down. Everything's become so damn casual. And we've talked about this too. Everything's casual.
Yeah.
People dress casually when they go to church. People dress casually when they go to weddings or funerals. Everything is casual. When we went to birthday parties as little girls, we had party dresses. We wore our Mary Janes, we wore our bobby socks, and we wore our party dress. And then we had a pretty gift with a bow. And like there was formality to things. And now everything's casual, including marriages.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, oh, yeah, you can have friends of the opposite sex, or you can go on these girl vacations where you go to Las Vegas and you get drunk and you go out dancing and you dance with other men, or men can go to Vegas and they can go to a strip club with their buddies and it's cool. And if you have a problem with that, you're insecure. Something's wrong with you.
Right. You want to tell the story about when we were dating and some things happened one night when Melissa and I went out to a club.
That
bar.
almost made none of this happen.
Very nearly.
Yeah.
Tell the story.
Yeah. Okay. So we hadn't been dating that long, a couple months maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, not very long. It was St. Patrick's Day. And we went out drinking green beer, which was probably mistake number one.
We went out as a group.
Years
it
old.
was me and my really good friend at the time, and you and some of your girlfriends. We all went
Right.
out together as a group to this place that was kind of more so of a
Mistake number one.
bar, but there was a dance floor.
Yeah.
And we were all, I don't want to say intoxicated, but we were drinking. I was pretty intoxicated, actually. Take it back.
Yeah. I think you had quite a few green beers.
We were 21 years old.
We were 21. It was St. Patrick's Day. You go there to get sloshed and dance. And I was with my friend Brittany and and then we were dancing, going to the bathroom. Going to the bathroom. So weird. A lot of green beer. No, we were on our way to the bathroom. So the bathroom is over here. The dance floor is here. It's my sister calling.
Phone calls, no phone calls.
So The dance floor, the bathroom, you have to get through the dance floor and it's just super crowded.
Let me stop you right there real quick. Pause, time out, because this is not how I remember it at all. So you are away from me, maybe
I'm trying to get to the bathroom. We're dancing our way.
30 or so feet. The way I recall it is I was sitting at the bar with my buddy and you were just out on the dance floor with like 3 or 4 of your friends and you were dancing.
I was with
your friends in a circle. I saw it happening. Everybody's happy.
Okay, anyway, we're dancing our way to the bathroom. She's in front of me. I'm holding her hand and we're doing that whole thing where you like try to dance and walk. It's stupid.
So cool.
Anyway, this guy comes up and starts dancing like behind me. He's all like dancing and we're like, just like kind of walking and he's all like, dancing. The next thing I see, I look over to where Jeremy's sitting and his stool's empty. And then all I see is this fist like fly by my face and he punches this guy right in the face, like right in the face. And then the guy like starts swinging back. He hits me in the face.
The other guy.
Yeah, the other guy hits me in the face.
Glancing blow in the process of trying to punch me.
Ends up hitting me. And then like you guys, I don't know, did you throw more punches?
So
I don't really remember. I had been punched.
Here's my perspective. Here's my recollection. We told you guys about Jordan Peterson's different series available on Daily Wire Plus, but in the spirit of the month of Valentine's Day, we decided to rewatch his series on marriage, and it's really changed the way that we think about relationships. Not just our own, but even the way that we're teaching our kids about commitment and building a strong foundation for themselves in the future.
Yeah, Jordan breaks down what actually makes a marriage work. Not just love, but the real work that goes into navigating conflict, overcoming baggage, and growing together over time. And it's not just personal experience, although he has been married for 33 years, but also his expertise as a psychologist, which makes this series so impactful.
Dr. Peterson answers all the big questions. Why get married at all? How to build a relationship that lasts? And why divorce is rarely the quick fix that people think it is.
So whether you're thinking about your future or even if you've been married for decades, this is a series that gives you real wisdom for building a strong, lasting relationship. And the best part is it's just one piece of the Jordan Peterson's full Mastering Life collection, which dives deep into topics like masculinity, mental health, responsibility, and more. And it's available right now exclusively on Daily Wire Plus.
So this is our second time going through the On Marriage series, and we highly recommend checking it out, plus the full collection, which you won't find anywhere else. And right now, Daily Wire Plus is offering 30% off when you click the link down in our description below and use code NWOS30 for 30% off today.
Okay, so I have an obsession with sourdough bread, but I had to break up with it for a while because trying to make it at home and keep my starter alive was like being in a relationship. I love the gut healthy benefits of sourdough bread, but in reality, I just don't really have time to deal with the commitment of it. So I started searching for an alternative, which led me to wild grain.
As a family, we've been trying to cut out heavily processed foods, and wild grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. They partner with small bakers and pasta makers across the country to keep the tradition of nutritious, simple ingredient food alive.
The cool thing is you can customize your box with your favorite products. They have their traditional breads and pastas, which we normally order, and they also offer the first ever fully plant-based subscription box for breads and pastas and really good gluten-free options as well.
So now we can get all the incredible benefits of sourdough without the hard work, and it's quite possibly the best. Perfectly crunchy, yet chewy on the outside and fluffy and soft on the inside sourdough that we've ever had. Wild grain uses a slow fermentation process and it's easy on your belly, richer in nutrients and antioxidants, and can even help lower blood sugar spikes.
I love that all of their products ship straight to my door and go from freezer to table in just 25 minutes or less. So if you're like us and you love simple ingredient pastries, pastas, ooey gooey cookies, and all the benefits of sourdough bread, definitely check out Wild Grain.
Just click the link down in our description below or go to wildgrain.com/NWOS and use our code NWOS to get $30 off your first box. Plus, you'll get free croissants for life. So I'm sitting there at the bar. You're out there dancing with your friends. Like I said, this is what I'm seeing. I'm with my buddy. We're having a good time. It's St. Patrick's Day. I look over after looking away very briefly and I see Melissa dancing. Woo, look at it. Woo. And there's a guy that is behind her dancing seemingly with her. It appears, from my perspective, from my vantage point. Me being a
Totally
hot-headed and slightly intoxicated 21-year-old was like, oh, hell no.
Like,
So
I didn't even know I was there with somebody. It was so sneak attack.
I got up. I stomped over to where you were. Beeline, zero hesitation. And yeah, I was, this was 20 years ago. It was a long time ago. And it was on at that point. That's how it went down. So there's this
You're
tussle.
like Beth from Yellowstone.
Don't really remember what happened. I remember hitting a guy. I remember him, falling back slightly. I remember him trying to reach over you because you were kind of positioned in between us at this point. He tries to hit me back, glancing blow on Melissa. Not my proudest moment. I'm not happy that this occurs. And the fight is on. Myself and my buddy, because his friends, of course, jump in. My buddy jumps in, and it was on at that point.
Then Jeremy decides we better go before the police are called.
Yeah.
Doesn't grab me, takes my car keys, and leaves me at this dive bar with his friend.
So my friend gets hit in the face, and he's bleeding pretty profusely from the face, bleeding all over me, all over himself. You are there again. You were there with probably 4 of your friends,
but
right?
No car keys,
give or take. My buddy and I, because we get grabbed by the bouncers, really is what happened. We get grabbed by the bouncers. We start being escorted out of this place. We eventually boogie, and my thought process in this time is that Melissa's fine. She's okay. I knew that you hadn't been like injured in any way. She's with her friends. We can rendezvous at some place. Turns out we met back up in my friend's house down the street, which is what happened. So it all worked out as I hoped that it would in the moment.
I feel like your retelling of the story is much different.
That's where my mind was at the time. I'm telling you, that's what I was thinking. That's what was running through my head.
I like how Jason also broke the flower pot on the way out.
Yeah, that was another part of the story that I left out on purpose.
Yeah. So anyway, I had no car keys. I get my friend to drive me to your friend's house where I knew you guys were hiding out. And I was so mad. I was so mad because I was like, what a off the wall, hot-headed response. I've never had some guy respond like that.
Love.
And that's when I knew I was going to marry him. When I knew you were my crazy Beth, I was like,
no, so I'm not proud of it.
Rip.
It wasn't a good moment. I wouldn't recommend it. But at the same time, hey, look at us now, right? So yeah, there you go. Happily ever after.
It was funny because I remember I needed to go to Jason's to get keys. And then what really made me mad was you were mad at me when I got there. You were like, how?
Because my perception at the time was that Melissa was dancing with another guy, which I didn't like. And I know how this sounds. And like I said, I am not proud of 21-year-old me. If I saw 21-year-old me today, I would call him an idiot and question his actions.
Yeah, imagine if that was Kaimani.
But it is what it is. It happened. It occurred. And like I said, happy ending. 5 kids later. 5 children later.
I have no male friends. Jeremy has punched them.
No, and so yeah, I would expect, but we're different now, right? We live, we learn, and I fully entrust you. I never have to worry about you ever, and I know that you, much like me, would never pursue any kind of platonic friendship with a male counterpart, much in the same way that I wouldn't find a female, whether she be a workplace acquaintance or somebody that I just knew from the community. It would never happen because I have enough love and respect for you to never go there.
I mean, and also I pursue no relationships with anybody outside of our family.
Yeah, that's true for the both of us.
Yeah. So
not a concern.
No, not a concern. So yeah, it was pretty funny. We were so different. You were so different when I met you.
I was.
You know what I think the biggest difference was?
What?
I think that you were not a Christian when I met you.
Yeah.
Because when you because you were pretty hot-headed for a while, and it could have been that you were young and that you were immature.
Yeah, for sure.
And you are a very emotionally driven person anyway.
Well, don't get it twisted. Under the right circumstance, I can go there again. When it comes to you, it's just I have a different, you know me, when it comes to family, and we talked about this here on the podcast before. I don't play around when it comes to my family. And there have been other
people have experienced that. If they've said something rude to me, like
I said, there have been other occurrences, over the years, never that I've become physical, but there have been times where I've spoken up on your behalf or felt as though I needed to bark at somebody because they were just, infringing upon our safety bubble with the kids, especially, like the time in the park. Not to make myself sound
you just said it hadn't gotten physical again yet.
No, it didn't.
Time.
No, that wasn't physical.
The man was on the ground.
It was very effective. Me barking at that guy. Right? Are we talking about the same incident?
The guy you shoved to the ground?
What? No, I didn't shove anyone to the ground. What are you talking about?
You shoved him.
What? No, I didn't.
The homeless guy?
No.
Yes, you did.
Oh, maybe. I don't.
Yeah, that's where the people came over.
What?
Yeah, you shoved him.
Okay. I'm not a hothead anymore, I promise you. So
okay, granted, that guy deserved it because you knew that person.
So we were in a city park at the place that I worked in, and I knew this guy. I knew his history. I knew what he was capable of, and he came up to our kids, talking to our kids who were maybe 5.
And he was an SO, right?
I don't recall that specifically, but it wasn't somebody that should be interacting with our kids in any way. So this kid, our kids were 5 or 10 feet ahead of us. He tried, oh, hey, little boy, little girl, because I think we maybe just had Nevaeh and Kaimani at the time, and I got, Daddy Bear took over. So yeah, but to your point, I've gotten better over the years. You live, you learn, and yeah, I'm not that hot headed anymore. But yeah,
I don't know if it's age or if it's.
Why do you bring up the fact that you think that my being a self-proclaimed or just having this this Christian faith to fall back upon? Why do you think that would make any difference for me whatsoever?
I think it's leveled you, and I think that it's made you more introspective.
I think I've just matured overall. I wouldn't necessarily attribute it solely to that, but yeah, there are different ways of handling those types of situations. And again, you live, you learn, you mature, you get better.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to these issues,
I remember like the next day I woke up and I had 2 black eyes because I did get Yes, I did. I had black eyes. My mom was like, "What the heck happened to you?" I was like, I don't want to talk about it. And like I remember being like, I don't know if I want to continue dating this man because he's so jealous and he's so hot-headed and I wasn't doing anything wrong and he's not letting me like speak my piece or like tell him that I was just going to the bathroom and this guys just would come up and dance like behind girls, to try to get them to like.
Did you understand that all my perception? Like
no, because like I felt so innocent
in it. All over again, it's happening again.
Yeah, I felt so innocent in it. Like we were literally just trying to get to the bathroom and there was just like a guy dance and it was such a crowded dance floor. Like I really was like, you lost your mind over nothing. And so then I'm like, I don't know that I want to be with somebody like this because like if this is how he is and he's that quick to anger and everything, like maybe that's not a good match for me.
There's not even a small part of you that was like, ooh.
Yeah, no, there totally was. So then I was also like, but that was kind of sexy at the same time that like he got so like, there was something weirdly primal about like, this female mine.
Well, and it was a primal reaction. It was. I'm not even hesitant to say it. Yeah, that's totally what it was.
And I'm kind of like, I'm a very kind of submissive, and I was like, I mean, Tarzan, like, there was something to it. There was. So, having a man fight for you, but like I wanted you to fight for me, not like.
No, that was definitely a part of it.
With me?
Regardless of the situation, it was like, hey, what do you don't be doing that. He was like rubbing up on your backside.
Yeah, he was gross. Yeah, he was super gross.
So inappropriate. I wouldn't recommend it. Not my proudest moment, but it makes for a good story to tell.
You wouldn't recommend it? No.
And again, happy ending, right? We all live happily ever after.
It was just one of those funny little moments of like just being so young and so stupid. I mean, it was 20 years ago. We were such different people.
Yeah, for sure.
When we met, we're so different than who we are now.
Yeah. It's been a long road.
Yeah. And it was kind of nice to meet when we were so young and dumb because we matured together. Like, I think it'd be really difficult to try to date or get married or anything at this age because you just are who you are at 40.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that would be so hard to find someone to I mean, I know that people do it and they have beautiful relationships. I just think that would be really hard. I'm very stubborn.
So
you're very stubborn.
That very process that I think you're describing, to bring it back full circle, intimacy, right?
Right.
I mean, these are the types of occurrences that happen, that forge that bond that you and I have. And we walked this road together. That is the intimacy that I would always come back to and that I would never violate for anything or anyone.
Yeah, like we have such a strong respect for one another, but we also demand a very high level of respect from one another.
Yeah, but it's not something that's ever discussed
openly.
Not
a demand, but I think like that's the wrong word.
Expectation.
We have high expectations for one another as well, but like we've never crossed that line, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I mean, what an ultimate betrayal that would be. But I don't feel like everyone has those same hard lines. I feel like marriage has been so casualized in society because it's so easy to just say, this isn't working out. You don't fulfill me anymore.
I can't imagine that sense of betrayal. You know what's funny is that we have some mornings where we wake up and Melissa will be mad at me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what? What happened? And she's like,
the sister wife dream?
Last night?
You had a sister wife.
You did a naughty?
It was so bad.
And there's no coming back from it. It was so realistic.
It was so bad. Yeah, I had a dream. I have really vivid pregnancy dreams. Plus, like, I'm not that I'm like insecure while pregnant or anything. I just have really vivid dreams. And I had this dream that we had 2 sister wives. I think because I was just watching like one of like our FLCS podcast. And I was remembering Rachel talk about the betrayal she would feel in the morning when her husband would be like, come take a shower with me. And she's like, you were with another wife last night. Like, bugger off. And she was like, there was betrayal.
I can't imagine.
And like, yeah, she's like, you just felt betrayed.
Well,
and
look at how
cheated
upset
on.
you get over a dream. This isn't even reality. I can't imagine living.
It was so vivid. Like, we had 2 sister wives and I was the lead wife, so I didn't let them touch you. They were only allowed to do like the dishes,
of course,
and cook.
Everything it is you don't want to be doing.
But they weren't allowed to like correct my children or touch you. And then like for some reason I was leaving. And so I was like, well, I guess it's okay if this one becomes like a wife or something for the week. And when I came back, you guys were like cuddling and your feet were crossed. Like you had your foot over her foot. And I was like,
again, intimacy.
And the first thought in my mind was how I was going to kill you both and hide it in the dream.
Who's hot-headed?
In the dream, it was like, I got to kill them both. Like, and then I woke up and I was mad at you for like a good 48 hours.
I know. I was like, I didn't even do anything.
You're all serving me coffee and I was like, I saw the foot thing. We could never, we have such high expectations for one another and for ourselves and in our marriage. And we just kind of are friends with one another.
Yeah, but the beautiful part is that it's completely unspoken. These are expectations that just lie beneath the surface, and we both just kind of incessantly know it. It's instinctual. We wouldn't go there. And to your point, like I would never, I would never want to hurt you in that way.
Right.
I can't imagine living with that kind of betrayal and violation of something that should be considered literally sacred. It's baffling to me. I'm so grateful that this is something that we've never ever had to deal with. I'm sure some of you watching probably have, and being on the receiving end of that, again, I cannot imagine. I have my own indirect, let's say, experiences of dealing with these situations, but I can't imagine being the person whose trust was just completely.
Do you think you could ever forgive that?
I'd want to.
I'm curious because a lot of people do. Like, this is a reality for a lot of people, and they do forgive it and they do move past it. And is that the Christian thing to do?
That's a great discussion to be had. I'd love to say that.
I'm not asking for like,
no, I know. I know. I'd love to say that, I'd want to put forth the effort, but knowing me, I think the honest answer would be that there'd be no coming back from that. And you know what? Take it back, because in dating, other past situations and relationships, take it back. I was on the receiving end of it, and not, it's not the same. It's apples and oranges because you and I have been together for so long, and we're talking about marriage, not a dating type of relationship. But nonetheless, it's not something I would wish upon anyone, because the sense of betrayal when you entrust somebody to the furthest most extent possible, and then they take that, like I said, and just so casually cast it aside. It's an awful feeling. It really is.
Yeah. I'm too visual of a person to forgive. Like, I already know, and like I already told you, like early on a relationship, like there is a no coming back from that for me.
Yeah.
Not ever. And I know that is not the Christian answer. And I know that a lot of women have overcome that, or men have overcome that.
I know that's the claim, but have they?
I feel like it's a betrayal twice, because you betray them, and then the expectation of forgiveness and moving on and not visualizing it and not seeing it every time you get into a stupid argument about burnt pizzas or whatever.
Sorry.
Like, like every little thing, you would just be like, you cheated on me. And for me, like, I was mad for days over a dream because I saw it, If I sat there and visualized it, like, there would just be no intimacy ever again.
No true intimacy. That's what I'm saying. You could even claim to trust somebody, but I don't think you would ever fully trust that person again to the same extent. There's no way. There would always be this paranoia that you lived with forever. That would definitely be the case for me if it were to even persist and continue on that long.
Man, and even if it wasn't paranoia, just betrayal. I'm such a, like, loyalty is everything.
Yes.
And I know it is with you too.
100%. It doesn't matter the relationship. If we have any kind of bond whatsoever, whether it be friendship, whether it even be just a casual acquaintance, loyalty, disloyalty is something that I have a very extremely low tolerance for. I will not stand for it. And the moment that somebody violates that trust, like I said, it's nearly impossible for me to come back from it. I will X you out of my life permanently. I will.
This came up on the Granger
It did, and I don't mean to dive into this again.
podcast.
And I'm not saying that that's the correct way of handling these situations, but I know myself, and that's as a total defense mechanism. That's just the way that I have a tendency to respond. Unfortunately,
I can be super forgiving or like forget things really easily because I don't get really worked up over stuff, but that's not with you. That's in like sibling relationships or parental relationships with our kids, I'll forgive them over and over and over and over and over again, and I would till the day they die.
this is one of the things that I have the most difficulty wrestling with when it comes to like diving into the Bible. This concept of forgiveness is something that I'm an incredibly faulty human being. I have some real difficulties when it comes to the concept of forgiveness once I feel as though I've been burned or treated in a way that is lesser than, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you know this about me.
Yeah, but I think that's like, again, I'm not going to dive into your past by any means, but I think that is a protection mechanism that a lot of people
100%.
who have felt like they needed to protect their emotions
Yeah, those scars.
as
You
a
don't want to
child.
reopen those scars. You don't want to
Right.
revisit those scars.
or even allow the potential to feel that.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk emotionally.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if somebody's like proved to not be loyal or something, you're like, well, I guess I'm not going to mess with you.
You think
anymore.
that's something that should be worked on though? Because
Yeah,
that's the
I think so.
that's the advice that would be given from a Christian perspective, right? But again, I just have such difficulty with it. I have a really, really hard time with it.
Yeah, but not necessarily in marital relationships, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I know that like the church teaches that, but like does the Bible? Because in like think about
Oh, there are a lot of
I know, but think about like under God's law, the only reason that you could get divorced was infidelity. You were able to get divorced in the case of infidelity.
I'm with you. I think there is a spectrum there, like there is with most things. It's not a black or white situation, but yeah, like I said, I have a very low threshold when it comes to that, though.
Yeah, me too.
So
Well, okay, luckily we married the right person. You stopped
100%.
punching people.
Thank God.
And no, I wouldn't even care now if you did it. Like, I think I was just young. And so I was like, oh, you can't do that.
No, I wouldn't. And again, that's not something that
Yeah, but-
shouldn't be your default. I will reiterate that here on camera.
Yeah.
Your things should not become physical.
Taimani. Yeah, I don't want to hear about you doing anything like that.
All that said, it should be treated as a last resort. I'm not saying it doesn't have its place because you know what? Hey, there are times and situations that call for some violence every now
sure.
and again. So
Yeah, like that whole dad should be a dangerous thing. 100%. You were 100% right in the park.
I'm
with
going to
the guy.
fish for comments on this one. Let us know what your experience has been. Have you experienced this very betrayal that we were talking about? And if so, what do you think about that? And as to forgiveness, I love so many of the comments that we get here on the podcast from people because it just gives us a lot to think about and mull over when it comes to forgiveness, no matter how difficult it may be. What do you think personally out there? Is it a situation to where, you know, it's as difficult as it may be, you should put forth the effort to forgive and not necessarily forget, but at the very least forgive?
Well, remember that Ashley Madison story we saw with
Yes.
those YouTubers?
I cannot imagine.
Yeah. So what's that called? It's a Netflix special.
I don't
It's called
remember.
Ashley Madison.
I'm sure if you looked it up, you'd find it. It's a documentary on
Yep.
some of the personal experiences that stemmed from the Ashley Madison account reveal to where people were cheating on their spouses,
It's
utilizing
how Josh Duggar got
Yeah.
jammed up. It's
So
how this vlogger got jammed.
utilizing this online service. You could connect with people who were looking to have marital affairs, and the website I believe was hacked, and so a bunch of people were exposed in the process. And I can't imagine with some of those stories and some of the willingness that you hear from so many of these, it was a wife that was the primary focus. I can't imagine being in her shoes and looking past the stories that her spouse was telling her about the things that he had done. Unimaginable.
And they had children, and she did choose to forgive them, and they are a Christian family. And he said, I betrayed my wife. I would never do this again. They went on Good Morning America and talked about it. They went on Ali Beth Stuckey and talked about it. And she had them on and was like, yeah, I think this is great. I think this is good. But when I was watching it, I didn't believe him
Nor did I.
because he had done it so casually and for so many years, and he just didn't look sincere.
He didn't look genuinely remorseful. And I feel like I have a pretty good sense of when people are lying, and that guy, the needles were like off the charts. Like you
Yeah.
are not being truthful
Still,
to the fullest
now.
extent. Still.
Yep. And she looked beaten down, and like she had to, because of her faith or because of their platform, she had to like forgive this man publicly.
This is what I'm saying.
She looked betrayed and
this-
sad.
That's what I'm saying. I have such difficulty with it because you're right. I think she has a genuine desire to go one way, but her faith and teachings and advisement it conflicts with what it is that I think she internally genuinely wants to do for herself and for her children. She looks internally tormented when you listen to her speak.
So that's kind of like when I wonder with like, depending on what denomination you're in and what church you go to, like sometimes there are pressures on the woman or on the man that have been cheated on to, like, you have to forgive if you're going to remain in this congregation. You have to do this, or you're going to go to hell, or
But no matter what, you know what I mean? Like no matter what,
Yeah.
where do you draw that line?
Because I mean, yeah, we've known some personal stories even here where people have been told by their church, like, you cannot get divorced or you have to leave the congregation. And the wife has been like, I can't be in this marriage anymore, and literally will be excommunicated out of the church. And it's
Serves as a great example of why it is that we don't currently attend the church. We really have difficulty finding a church situation that jives with our own personal beliefs and convictions. And I know that conflicts with, you know, the teachings of our faith. And so again, it's just, it's tough. It's a tough road to navigate.
Yeah, we're very independent people, so it's very, very difficult to have like men making up rules or interpretations of
Yes.
doctrine or of what God
that you are expected to abide by.
Yes, things that you should do. And if you want to be a member of this club, then you have to abide by these rules.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. there's certain relationships that are more sacred than any other relationship.
And marriage is at the top
Marriage
of that
is
list.
the top.
Yes.
Which is something that we were kind of talking about this morning a little bit. I was like, with a marriage, there's seasons in marriage. Like when you first get married and it's just, you know, the two of you, which we didn't experience that because we did that backwards.
Didn't have that.
There were the three of us when we first got married. But when we were first together, it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
And we only had to worry about the two of us.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of self-centeredness in that. Like, because when you're first getting married or you're first dating or anything, you're still really kind of like team me, because growing up, it's all about you.
You have an out.
Yeah.
You feel more so inclined to be able to have the ability to bail at any given point.
And then when you have a kid or kids,
Now you're unified for life.
yeah, you're connected for life. Whether or not you want to be, you are. And it adds stress and everything. And then I feel like this is where men and women really struggle, because women are like team baby, everything I can, like everything in your instinct, your natural instinct is put that child first.
Yeah.
But then men, or at least you, had a way more like, my wife's needs are important. Are you okay? Like, are we, like, you wanted this more you and I unified relationship. Like, I'm team Jeremy and you're team Melissa. And then the kids come second. And I'm like, kids come first, you come second. And that's where,
Secondary, but a very close second. We are a cohesive family unit. But yeah, I feel like when it comes to, you know, the relationship that we have together as spouses and as parents, we need to be a unified front.
yeah. And I feel like that's correct. Like, the way that men view it,
Really?
I think is correct. I do. I think it's correct in a good marriage where the man comes first. It is incorrect where, you know, the man is, it's hard too when a guy comes into a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, if you're coming in as stepdad, no, your priority is to your children as a mom. You don't let some man move in and abuse your children, brutalize your children, disrupt their lives. You don't do that. Your priorities are to your children.
Mm-hmm.
You already, that first marriage dissolved or whatever, that first relationship dissolved. Now your mom first or your dad first when it comes to your kids. That very often is not how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stepkids talk about forever being brutalized by stepmoms or stepdads. And, you know, I think it's hard. That's a hard relationship. I mean, something that you experienced, not that you were brutalized.
I experienced it, and I was very blessed and fortunate to have we call her stepmom, who never um, intervened or spoke up in situations where she may have been justified in doing so. She always, she would tread very lightly
Yeah.
in all situations, knowing that I was not her biological child. She gave me advisement. She showed me love. And so she would handle situations in those ways. But yeah, never was I being reprimanded, especially harshly. Maybe, here and there, like little small nitpicky things that aren't even worth making note of. But never was I ever seriously reprimanded by the woman that I grew up with that I would consider to be my stepmom. Never. And I was always very grateful for that.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's not everyone's story. But in a good marriage where it's a good father and a good mother, then I think the marriage should come first, because then you are a united front and everything. But I think a lot of women struggle with that. I struggle with that when we have little kids. I don't struggle with it with our teenagers like so much, but with little kids, I struggled with it because I just felt like I had to pour everything into them. And then you sort of got my leftovers. You sort of got what I had left at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And sometimes that was just open mouth snoring. Like that was what I had left. Like,
Hey, 5 kids.
Yeah.
It's not all it was.
Well, sometimes I had a little leftovers, but what I'm saying is like you got the leftovers. You really did. I was home with them all day long.
Yeah.
And
I was okay with that.
You were okay with it and you never complain. But there are men that feel very
as though they come second.
They feel that way. They feel like we had kids and now you don't care about me anymore. You don't put makeup on anymore. You let yourself go. The house is a mess. Like, get yourself together, woman. And like, I'm coming home from work and I want you to be in your trad wife dress with your pony and your...
Yeah, but see, for me, like that was never an issue. Like I love and adore that aspect of you and the fact that you had your priorities straight. Like if I had my wish and like what the way that is the way it is that you like your day played out and the things that you devoted yourself to, that's exactly what it would be. It'd be, hey, I'm out, we're living these very trad traditional types of lives where I'm out of the house and I'm trying to bring home the bacon, make sure that I am fulfilling my role as a provider. And in the meantime, you are that caretaker and nurturer, holding down the fort, holding down the family, making sure our kids are being handled with tender love, compassion, and care. That's what it is. And that's what I would expect. Again, even though this is something that was completely unspoken, it's not like we ever laid these roles and defined these roles for one another. It was just, I think it's what's natural. It's what should come natural, I think.
Do you think it's natural that like women put the kids first and then men put the wife first?
Yeah. But again, in different chapters and eras, like you mentioned a second ago, I think, especially when you have little kids, when you have a newborn baby, like we're about to, like I fully expect that there are going to be a number of moments, maybe in a majority of the time where I am second, and that's how it should be, and I would do the same thing. And I know that like we always use the hypothetical scenario of like, hey, I'm drowning and our child is drowning next to us and you're coming out to make a decision on who it is that you're going to rescue for the both of us. I know that the answer would be our child.
Right.
So guess what?
That's
coming
true.
in second
yeah,
on
that's
that.
True.
Yeah, I think, but again, that's to bring it back again to intimacy. That is completely unspoken. We don't even need to lay that out for one another. And a part of that intimacy, especially when you have kids, is knowing that, there are going to be extended periods of time where the kid's gonna come first, and I'm not only am I okay with that, I'm glad that that's the case.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I mean, not all guys feel the way that you do. I was actually listening to another couple podcasts where they were arguing about it. She was like, my kids come first. You're a grown man.
I would say that's incredibly selfish if that's the way you view things, of like, no, ignore our children and pay attention to me. Like, what? Like, you're not a real man. That'd be my personal
like
opinion.
You think it's like an insecurity?
Like, that's not what your role as a husband and father should be. You should care about those who are the most vulnerable in your family. If you're going to be a good dad and subsequently a good husband, you make sure that your children's needs are met before anybody else, even yourself.
You guys know that we are all about being prepared. For us, it's just a little bit of added insurance. In fact, on our last vlog, we really broke down some of our favorite everyday preps. And we have been sharing some of our favorite things here on the podcast as well. Our hope is to give you guys a good place to start for your own family, and a company that we trust personally to help us with all things preparedness, from long-term food storage, water filtration, solar energy backups, and even bug-out accessories, is American Reserves.
Yeah, American Reserves provides top quality emergency preparedness supplies that align perfectly with our lifestyle and our values. values. Supporting American-made products is important to us. We appreciate that American Reserve shares our commitment to faith, freedom, quality, and sustainability.
Their products have become a trusted part of our daily routine here on the homestead, and most importantly, our preparedness for whatever may come. So as we all maneuver this new year and all the crazy stuff that we're seeing across the country and the world, we can all take steps towards making sure that our own families and our homes are more prepared.
Since we all need to start somewhere, we recommend you commit this year to making sure that every member of your household has at least a 30-day long-term food supply, and please make sure to have a good off-grid water filtration system as well. That's step one, then you can build your supply from there. Cool thing is American Reserves is the perfect one-stop shop for everything you'll need.
So if you're looking to enhance your own preparedness with dependable American-made products, visit AmericanReserves.com and use our code SUZA, S-O-U-Z-A, at checkout to enjoy a 15% off discount exclusively for our community.
On February 28th, Focus Features invites you to experience the most inspirational film of the year. Based on extraordinary true events, Last Breath tells the story of a deep-sea diver trapped at the bottom of the ocean. With only 10 minutes of oxygen left, he struggles to navigate the pitch-black abyss while his teammates devise a daring plan to help save him from certain death.
What happens next, some call impossible and others call a miracle. Last Breath stars Woody Harrelson, who happens to be my favorite actor, Simu Liu, and Finn Cole. And it takes you inside the world of deep sea, high pressure diving where every decision, every second, and every breath is a life or death moment.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of an early screening of this movie. It was so exciting and inspiring, totally worth seeing in theaters. With incredible performances, astonishing visuals, and an uplifting emotional core, this is truly an immersive movie that you cannot miss.
So witness the most thrilling motion picture event of the year on the big screen. Get your tickets now for Last Breath, rated PG-13, which means it may be inappropriate for some children under 13. It opens February 28th in theaters everywhere.
It's not the most old-fashioned answer, though. I mean, like, that dad's where I eat first. I sit in the best seat. I get the hot food. Like, there's a rule of like dad gets served first.
That sounds gross to me.
Okay. I
Sorry.
mean, that works for me because I'm someone who puts the kids first. So that I do feel like we're going to have this weird little, like we've had seasons, in our marriage. And I do feel like we're going to have a weird season now we're starting all over again.
Yeah.
So maybe we're never going to have that season of just being alone, because then I feel like we're going to start having grandkids.
It's fine because it gets better over time, right? Like
it does.
The older your kids get, the less they need you, and that attention now is diverted back to your spouse, ideally. So yeah, that's not something that ever worries me.
Yeah. Well, we were really bad at going on dates. We've never been on a vacation by
Yeah,
ourselves.
but even with that, we took that trip to Nashville, to do our podcast with Matt Walsh, and that was a big deal for us.
First time we ever left our kids overnight.
Because again, for us as a couple, the kids have always come first, and we as a couple have always come second. It's never bugged me. The fact that we haven't taken a lot of dates together, we go out maybe once, maybe twice a year. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
We're homebodies, and again, I keep trying to bring this back to intimacy, but the intimacy that I love most is when, it's like the most mundane of times. It's when you and I are binging a show together on Netflix.
When the kids go to bed and then we have a show that only you and I watch.
There are 2 times.
Right now we're watching Severance.
Great show. Check it out. Apple TV. My favorite times are for us as a couple are in the early mornings, because Melissa and I wake up before everybody. We have a lot that we need to jump into for our work day and routine. We wake up together, usually situate on the couch. I will make both of our coffees.
Yeah, you hand me my coffee.
Yeah, I bring you your coffee and we sit, and sometimes we just tinker on our smartphone or answer emails.
Which is not what we should be doing.
Next to each other. It's not what we should be doing, but again, these are things that need to be done. But just that quiet time for us to be doing something together. And a lot of these good talks, a lot of the topics that we come up with for this podcast stem from those moments and that period of time in the morning where sometimes we get into really deep talks and discussions about totally random stuff. And then that works its way here into the podcast. So it's those moments that, again, I would say that's where the intimacy comes into play, right? Is those moments. It's not glamorous by any means. It's very, very simple and mundane in appearance, but it's a special time for you and I together. And then the same thing at night, when we binge our shows, or we're just hanging out, quiet time for you and I.
Yeah, I agree. You just have to find someone you're equally yoked with, someone you're on the same page with.
Yeah.
For us, it works being extreme introverts together. They say that it's unhealthy for an introvert to marry an introvert,
I like
because
it.
then you just retreat together, and we make jokes about how we'll just be like, this is so good. And we just like retreat from society.
It's always amazing to me that you and I catch some flack for that
For
from like
that?
people that we know in our personal lives.
Well, there's a lot of like, no, you have to have friends outside your marriage. You
Why?
have to go on these. Women should be hanging out with girls, and women should be going on these girl trips, and men should have a group of guys they go and watch the game with. And we've just never liked that separation. And I think it's been really hard for us to even have couple friends,
Yeah.
because when you would get together with married couples, the wives would go down in the kitchen and talk, and the men would like go upstairs where the good drinks were. Like you guys would always take the whiskey, and I'd be downstairs with the crappy margaritas. And like, I just wanted to like go sit by you and
Yeah.
have a whiskey.
Well, every single time that that's ever happened, where we have like a social outing with another couple, you and I will get back in a car and be like, I missed you.
Yeah, that was so boring. Or you and I end up inching together
Yeah.
and then retreating to whatever corner we
even
can
catch
find
flack
empty.
for that. It's like, why are you guys
Why are you
hanging
guys
out
in the
together? Why
corner?
don't you guys go do like the guy thing, the husband thing over here in the white? It's like, I don't, no offense,
Yeah.
but I'd rather hang out with my wife.
Or like the game would be on for like Super Bowl, and I wanted to legitimately watch it and be where the nachos were and be where you were. And so I would go sit, and then all the husbands would be like, why is she here?
We're a couple
Like,
of
why
weirdos.
aren't you in the kitchen
You know what, Melissa?
with the women playing bunco?
I want to steal this quote, but you and I, we're hard to pet.
We're hard to pet.
We're hard to pet. We're those, like, we're hard to, people always complain that like it's really difficult to get to know us, and we don't make it easy. And it's totally true. And it's not done in a way that's like, you know, like it's not intentional by any means. It's just we like hanging out together. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, even though everybody else seems to for whatever reason.
Well, every porcupine has a porcupine spouse.
Hard to pet. Also hard to pet.
Also hard to pet. And I mean, I think that's probably us. Like, we're just like these two little porcupines, and like, don't try to pet us because we might poke you, but we really like each other, and we like our baby porcupines that we
100%.
make. We have our own little herd of porcupines. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really see that ever changing. And I don't have a desire to change it. You know, like if people are like, this is a flaw in you and you should change it. And then you're like, I have a desire to change it. I have no desire to change it. Like, I'm just like, nah, I'm
Me
good.
neither.
So
You know what's cool
yeah.
is we came in here and we were going to talk about this, but this was supposed to be like a 10-minute discussion.
Yeah.
And we've now done almost our entire hour specifically
Oh, really?
on this. And I'm okay with it. I'm actually glad that we stuck to it and kept discussing this, because it is an interesting thing to talk about. And for us, I don't know, give us your feedback, guys, out there if you're watching. It's this is the thing that's interesting about this podcast is that it's a very unique insight into like the way that we operate and the way that we just do things together as a couple.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of weird because we go against the grain. No, I mean, we're definitely weird, 100%. Don't get me wrong. But we go against the grain, and so many of the things that like I just mentioned that others view as being a negative thing are things that I absolutely adore about our relationship and marriage. So I'm okay with
Yeah.
it. I have zero intent on changing.
Yeah. Well, they say like if you're weird, you should just wave your little weird flag and you'll find your tribe. And like, I wasn't looking for a tribe. I was just looking for like my one person.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Like, I legitimately told, I think, everybody after our second date that I was going to marry you.
Well, restraining order.
Yeah. And I said that like at our, well, I know. And then the punching thing happened. And I thought like, oh, did I make it wrong? No, it's cool. Like, you can punch people. But I said I was going to marry you because I said some off the wall stuff on like our first and second date, and you didn't really bat an eye or think it was weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very random. I'm very weird. I can be kind of harsh. Like I got some rough edges, and I have really weird humor. And I just sort of like put it out there on purpose. Like, I'm just going to totally be me. And you were just like, cool. And
Yeah.
you didn't care. And you were like, do you want to get some Coronas? And like, I was like, I can be 100% myself with this person.
Intimacy.
Yeah. Like, I can be my weird humor. I can be in a really bad mood, like last night with the pizzas, and you were just like laughing with like charcoal in your teeth. Like, you let me be grumpy. You don't tell me, knock it off, fix your attitude. You don't do that. You
I
just,
might, but it's done jokingly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You tread a little light there when I'm hungry, but you know, like 5 minutes later, I'm going to be fine. Or like, you're very like quick to respond. What'd you get on volatility on that test? A 97?
Something like that.
97 volatility.
And I
But-
punch people.
I know that you are a volatile, like explosive person, but I also know that that only lasts for about 3 minutes until you get hungry. And then you're like, do you want to have pizza?
I don't get hungry anymore.
Yeah. Well, now that you're fasting, how are we supposed to get over these things?
I haven't eaten today. It's 5:22. I still have not had any food.
Yeah. So all of you guys saying that he needed to start eating last week had no effect on him. He's still not currently eating.
I don't want to leave this yet. So it's not about like, you know what I liked about you? You're saying you were 100% authentically yourself. And like, I love that. I think that like it came through and I could see that. And I that's what I appreciated was the fact that you weren't trying to put up a front.
Did you think I was weird?
Yeah, but who among us isn't weird? I'm weird in my own right.
Yeah, but like when you're dating and you meet someone weird, like sometimes you're like that person.
No, but that's what dating is, right? Everybody tries to put forth their best, like the best version of themselves. And that's what I always hated about dating when we were younger. Thank God I don't have to do that anymore. I cannot stand the dating process. And it's not about like, I liked you. I was like, this one's quirky. She's got spunk. I think I'll keep her. Like it meant a lot to me that you were willing to just like let it all hang out there and, you know.
Let it all hang out so weird.
Yeah, well, there's a joke to be made there that I'm not going to make. But yeah, it's that's again this is like the 10th time I'm saying it, but intimacy, right? That's what true intimacy should be. The one person in the world that you feel as though you can be your 100% whole self with comfortably zero reluctance, zero hesitation. That is intimacy. And when you choose to share that with other people,
right. There's no coming back.
No bien. Not good. Don't do that.
No bien. Yeah. So yeah, I completely agree. I think it's something that grows over time. It takes time, but it's either there or it isn't, you know, at the very beginning. You can't force it if you're not a match with somebody, but you better know that before you get married, because if you get married and you start having kids, now you do have this responsibility to figure out how to make it work, but it's going to be so much harder. And I had this conversation with our kids a couple days ago. I was telling all of them, like, until you are engaged, betrothed, until you promise yourself to somebody, you should be looking and keeping your options open, even while dating. And I know that sounds horrible, but it's because the whole point of dating, I feel like these kids like start dating someone and then they're like, oh, well, this is my boyfriend and I have to be forever faithful to this person. And I can't talk to another boy because I have a boyfriend. And I've never liked that, because the whole point of dating or courting is to find the best match for yourself.
Yes.
So if you're just devoted to the first boyfriend you have and that's it, like that's a problem, because there could be somebody that you're just so much better suited for.
Yes.
Or that they're better suited for. Because if you marry the wrong person, you should stay together. If you have children, you should do everything you can to make that marriage work. But it's going to be so much harder. I feel like when you have those people that say marriage is so hard, it's maybe because you married somebody that you're not super compatible with, and now it's hard.
Yeah, that's never been the case for us. Like we've had statements like that made to us by other people, and we've always been like,
marriage is real hard, right?
For everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's not the case. And I don't want to come on here and be like, oh, we're just patting ourselves on the back. We got it all figured out.
No, we got in a big fight over pizza last night.
Yeah, not saying that either. You know, we're saying we found what works for us, and hopefully everybody in their search for love manages to kind of find the same thing for themselves.
Yeah, it's important, and I think it's good, you know, for the kids to see that you can be gruff and rough and yourself, and that's important because you have to be who you are, and you can still have a healthy marriage. You know how like some people like go behind closed doors to like argue with their spouse? I think it's good to like hash that stuff out in front of your kids, because they need to see that.
Yeah.
We kind of fight like siblings, where I'll be like, you're being super stinky today, and I just, you know, like siblings can like get into it and then they can play 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
That's totally how we are.
Disagreements happen.
Yeah, they're going to happen. So I think it's healthy to also show kids like just work through it and then get over it and move on.
Right. Yeah. So sorry, we actually did not mean to come in here.
No, I had like a whole really like important thing to talk about. No, that's what I said,
but I'm okay with it. It's actually really cool. I'm glad that we did this. Again, we are not like, you know, this, we found what works for us. We're not saying that this should be, you know, like this shouldn't necessarily apply to everybody. This just works for us. We had a whole bunch of other things to come in here to chat with you guys about. But I'm glad we did this. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there.
And Joe Biden. Happy Easter, guys.
Do not become intimate with anybody at work. And that doesn't mean physical intimacy always. It can mean, hey, paying you an inappropriate compliment. It can be flirtatious glances. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't.
And
if you love the
shame on
person that
you,
you're with,
Hallmark, for
don't
selling those
do
cards.
it. And what the heck are they thinking with these cards?
So horrible. Whoever made those cards needs reprimanding.
We were supposed to spend like 10 or 15 minutes on this topic. And
talking
we did
about-
in a whole hour. So why don't we hold on to everything it is
All
that we
right.
have? Maybe we'll bring this back in next week. And we'll leave it at that. Sound good?
It sounds good.
Okay. Thank you for being here once again, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think about this very odd, little weird discussion that we just had here
It's
for an
got
hour.
totally just off track.
Unexpectedly. And we so appreciate you being here as always. Again, if it weren't for you guys, we definitely would not be doing this. But it is a lot of fun when we all get together. And
Do you like my sweater?
I do. It's a bunch of sheep
Yeah.
on a wool sweater.
I
Ironic.
saw it online.
Is that how we're shutting this one down?
Yeah. I was just wondering if you thought it was odd that I was wearing a sweater with sheep all over it.
It is very you. All right. Love and appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.
Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond